Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the students. I said all these three at once, thinking that my greetings will reach you at whatever time you may watch this video lesson. In today's lesson, I'll be teaching about Enemies People by Yevgeny Yevtushenko. He is a Russian, so the name is might be a bit difficult for you to remember. Yevgeny Yevtushenko, but you can remember it by heart. Okay, nothing is impossible. So let us start this one. In 1941, Mama took me back to Moscow. There I saw our enemies for the first time. If my memory is right, nearly 20,000 German war prisoners were, were to be marched in a single column through the streets of Moscow. So here, the mother of the writer, Yevgeny, took Yevgeny back to the city of Moscow. So Yevgeny and his mother went back to the city of Moscow, and there Yevgeny he saw for the first time his enemy, nearly 20,000 German soldiers who were caught during the war and were imprisoned. So he saw those war prisoners in the who were to be marched in a single column through the streets of Moscow. So he saw, Yevgeny saw those soldiers in the street of Moscow. So the second paragraph, the pavements swarmed with onlookers. Onlookers means the one who observes, who do not take part but simply watch the soldiers marching in the street of Moscow. So pavements means sidewalk or footpath, you can say. So the in the footpath, suddenly the crowd of people who are said to be as onlookers, observers, they did not take part in the march, but suddenly that crowd of people came in the sideways in the footpath, cordoned off by the soldiers and people who were lined up and controlled by the soldiers and police, not people, sorry, police. So the crowd were mostly human, Russian women, with hands roughened by hard work, lips untouched by lipstick, and thin, hunched soldiers which had borne half the burden of the war. So in that crowd that emerged in the pavements or in the sideways, who were they? They were the Russian women. So these Russian women who emerged in the pathways were untouched by the lipstick. Their hands was rough because of their hard work. Their lips were untouched in a sense that because of their uh, huge responsibilities of the wars and many other things, they do not actually get such time to do the makeup and all, to put on the lipstick, to wear the makeup and all. So their shoulders was also bent down due to their responsibilities over their shoulder. Every one of them must have had a father or a husband, a brother or a son killed by Germans. So those Russian women in that crowd in the pathways, each one of those women, either their father or their husband, or let us say brother or son, must have been killed by those German soldiers. They gazed with hatred in the direction from which the column was to appear. At last we saw it. So they gazed, they here is the Russian human, they gazed, they gave a constant look. They looked for a long period of time towards the direction from where the German soldiers were appearing, and they saw the German soldiers. Okay, so the generals marched at the head, massive chins stuck out, lips folded disdainfully, their whole demeanor meant to show superiority over their plebeian victories. So the here the generals means the German generals. Their body language was such, their behavior was such that they kind of showed a disrespect towards the Russian towards the Russian soldiers, and they were trying to prove their superiority. Superiority means were trying to prove that they are great. They were trying to prove that they are powerful. And here the meaning of plebeian means the lower class people. These German generals are the German soldiers used to consider Russian as plebeian, lower class people. To all the Russian soldiers, they used to consider them as weak. But see here, the Russian women were clenching their fist. Oh, they were saying it shows their hatred. It shows their anger towards the German soldiers. Okay, and it was all the soldiers and policemen could. It was all the soldiers and policemen could do to hold them back. They saw German soldiers, thin, unshaven, wearing dirty blood-stained bandages, hobbling on crutches or leaning on the shoulders of comrades. The soldiers walked with their head down. When these Russian women were looking at the German soldiers on the street of Moscow, how did they appear is that those German soldiers, they appeared very untidy, unshaven. They did not shave their beard, or let us say the mustaches, because they were imprisoned, so they couldn't shave it. It was unshaven. Okay, wearing dirty blood-stained bandages. Their bandages were full of blood stained. Okay, all blood shed was there. Blood mark was there. Hobbling on crutches means they were having the support at their hands. Crutches in our local language it is के भन्छ त्यो when the legs are injured, when their legs are fractured due to the disability, they take that support. No, that is the crutches. Okay, so hobbling crutches. The crutches were hobbling means it was shaking or leaning on the shoulders of their comrades. Those crutches of the soldiers were moving. Those supports were also moving, and they were so tired that they were leaning on the shoulders of their. They were leaning on their other soldiers. They were taking support from the other soldiers and walked with the heads down, and they did not have much confidence with them. It shows like that because maybe they are tired because they were involved in the war, they were imprisoned for a long time. Because of that also maybe their head was down. Now we have reached the paragraph number 9. The street became dead silent, and only sound was the shuffling of boots shuffling of boots and the thumping of crutches. Now suddenly the street became so silent. Okay, the street of Moscow. Okay, where there was German soldiers, war prisoners. it became so silent, and only the sound of the dragging boots. Okay, the boot was dragging means Gasrino, dragging boots, and the, excuse me, thumping of crutches means that crutches, that support was producing a loud, excuse me, loud sound. Okay, so only the dragging of the shoe, dragging of the leg, and the a loud sound of the crutches could be heard in the street. Now, why there was so silent in the street? Let us see. Then I saw an elderly. Here the I means Yabgini, the writer. Okay. Then I saw an elderly woman in broken down boots push herself forward to touch a policeman's shoulder, saying, "Let me through." See, now the Yabgini, what he saw was, he saw an old woman, okay, elderly woman. Maybe she was with full of wrinkles. Why? Because she was old. So her boots was also torn apart. It was a broken. Push herself forward to forward and touch the policeman soldier policeman shoulder, saying, "Let me through." She touched the shoulder of policeman and said, "Let me go forward." There must have been something about her that made him step aside. Then the when this old elderly woman, she said that, "Let me go through," the policeman, he let her go, thinking that she must have something with her. Okay, so this elderly woman also, she I think she is also a Russian. Okay, she went towards the crowd, towards the German soldiers. She went to the column. Yes, she went to the towards the German soldiers, took from inside her coat something wrapped up in a colored handkerchief, and unfolded it. It was a crust of black bread. See, she went to the column, okay, towards the German soldier, and from inside of her coat, or from the pocket of her coat, she took out the bread, okay, the black bread, which was like it was kept for a long period of time. Okay, black bread from her pocket, and it was wrapped in a red handkerchief. She unfolded that handkerchief, she opened that handkerchief, and in that handkerchief, in that folded handkerchief, there was a black bread. Okay, she pushed it awkwardly into the pocket of her shoulder. She gave, out of her love, out of her kindness, she gave that bread, and she put that bread in the pocket of the German soldier. See, initially the poet Yevgeny and his mother, maybe from the from other people aspect also, the one whom were considered to be as enemy, has uh, now become a friend. That enemy also can become a friend. See, look at how kind is this elderly woman. She took out the bread and put it inside the pocket of the soldier, and that soldier looked so exhausted. That soldier look very tired. Exhausted means very tired, that he was tottering on his feet. Tottering means he was not even able to stand properly or walk properly, that his his feet was shaking. And now suddenly, from every side, women were running toward the soldiers. Seeing that the elderly woman, now other women from all the direction, they also started running towards the German soldiers, pushing into their hands bread cigarettes, whatever they had with them, they offered that thing to the German soldiers. Why? Because they are also the people. After all, the one whom we used to consider as enemy, they are also a human being. So we should not, um, we should have humanity. We should love each other. uh, the one whom we consider as enemy can also be our friend if we treat them with the love, if we treat them with the respect. And after all, we are the same human being. This is what we can learn from this story. The soldiers were no longer enemies. See, the soldiers were no longer enemies now. This is what can be learned through the elderly woman.